but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problem.
Mama Papa, Eba, and Mabum, Eshia, Edmadi, so. And that young Comodino, and yes, I bet to us so. And Nema Obeshe, Abra, who choose a life partner, things to consider when choosing your life partner. And then I bet you are for army no bedi Jumadi, Addison, Jeffrey, Anna, Emmanuel, Mama Quava.
And I just saw.
Yeah, you so.
Yeah, now a break can you think come over brave. Yeah, you can say Suban here, I feel so, obi or hard working. And I feel so, your son who never brave say, obi or God fearing. And I feel so, your son who say, or dog a sign commitment and a nam and a bema our reno ache. Let's start here for Emmanuel. So, the son said, Mamma, or can am one count last word. It's in the start here for so now, if I free a hawk. And near my bay, and I'll be fair, a sense of my degree. Say, if you are not better one way now, it's you.
Oh, okay, then I'll be that same. It's in the BBADC. No, everyone, nobody tougher amount.
Okay.
It's in the Kaya, a chief for Kaya, Nami can be said, and Yama, me measure, and son, choose me life partner, a business one, or don't know one. And near Tosumi, a banner for Mudin from one, one no mutimit money, because a bay, sir, when you be at Nana, a dumpen will be no wire cram, Kokushimu up Mudin from one. A doctor Fakas one shot, we didn't intimate because when it's a crampona, a mabamu and as be and Kalana Bebre and as and work because on Kalano on Hobetio man on Bebre. It's in a sign of you know. Na yeah, corner and then the back count.
All right.
I said, last week, your boss would be never not a say Jeffrey was Bema Cedric, yes, Bema Cedric. Say no cano. Now me person me sign extra to be say conflict resolution. So munya kasa saying na mutimi eden etimi esiesi asem. So munya kasa saying na mutimi esiesi asem. Say ansa na pra mo bekọ aware mu no so munya kasa na mutimi esiesi asem. Say munya asem kitu bi just a third person ba mu. Ansa na mo eden mutimi a resolve issue ni dia, then it's a big problem. Ntimi no ade ba kwa mehwe. So munya kasa saying na mutimi nipa kro no or brand ho ase like so woni nya akasakasa on fa onye ni de enye bibia because uhwe se ni nipa tie na sometimes no oye hwan krampo na ye was some values bia ye share across as human beings enye obi na be pesa odi na sembesi abonte enti na hwempa se woni obi te na mo hwe se mo de tena mo tena obi de be call the next step and so ba wari pakọ so asem kitu ebi krampa ntimi ni won tena se unresolved bibi kitu ebi na wasem da abonten ana se ene se ji so catch abusuani bi ana se ene se ji so catch na danfo bi ansa ni pakra be catch it's a big problem for me because me no personally say me no tia I'll make it easy say obi hu say obetimi aka asem actually because I don't see the reason why I me no tia ntimi say open up to that extent there. Like Kasakasa so we have to be able to resolve it. If you take it to a third party now, no name Bruman as it's something that we say a red flag, mommy. And you know, Mr. says a banner resolve conflict in the relationship is really, really important.
So resolve. Okay. So yeah, not just a maturity ɛbɛbɛ mo ha ansa na mo tumi resolve who obi ɔno wɔ sa maturity nso betumi resolve issues or relationship mo easy. All right. Yeah, that's it. Eti no meko Addison wɔ na yakotie no ɔno so no views. Ɛsɛ nneɛma bɛyi ɛna wɔbɛhwɛ sɛ who choose a life partner. Yeti Addison.
Okay, me that's it. When I'm here, I'm say more me nti.
Yeah.
In something be who so can I say me who say me who say I me picking it up nti mama bia away. Me say ma o kan Ghana ma ana you krom hamba ana in general.
In general.
Attitude is different.
Gana Maria yo.
When you can in general say who choose one to say Ghana new and Abro new and Yama Ben Abekan Huma them what choose no.
No, me too. I said, but what's the difference, room?
Yeah, it's my difference. No,
different. Me no credit me make because difference. Once call Chinese, and I had no so me different because I had no bad there. BBC or no, when I said then a problem my income. But if you're there in Miami, say, oh no, although I got to third person, me the suddenly the no. Me knew we are my girlfriend now, Masem and now me wallet that moment, my girlfriend away now. Yes, I'm copy or 10% there. Asano. So and to the me fear no so qualities need there. A dozen but no one is perfect. Me say bia oba na bema oba person wale bema na bema the character any fertility say bia obetimi obi obetimi oba obi enu person wa ko wale oba ontimi oba enti hello. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, health. Number one, health. Maybe I'll be fertile. I'll bet my over.
Okay.
And secondly, character. And yet, say, yeah, oba, me, I mean, pepper, oba, or to mini. Bema jina ho yano and then the bichi cry and then the we have said that cry mean and it no
yeah
okay
the side of women
yeah now you say almost the same as Nehemiah can say over health side health aspect and also obetimi awo more comfortable say obetimi awo
na pese me bam kaka
and the second you know say we will be or you respectful now we need you at him yima brem
yeah it's in be man say waka bibi na ene me ya pan say in man so na ebi ni ha say
yeah
because and you can't seem be a perspective for some say adwenche into na more fun in a different way. As my Bema Addison kind fertility one as a very, very important. And so say in Bema can why he be the basic bonny or Becca so na say but no prayer because only be I just say yeah or because say na kind of but say obi wo ho no so oni obi kwa oni obi ba be worry but on fact send if I call a bit me a woman then it's exceptional.
Yeah.
Like no down because as any panel you didn't know crime I wouldn't say and I said it's a whole nipa call that show team so pema. Into no one found nipa call no intimate but in the beyond say be didn't know crime something even consciously or unconsciously that your team because Obaba were no person over bit me a woman anyway. It's na person me be mukaka na any man who say and this may be a bad decision will be back at the spot said so she will be now done. Now say a genuine no to say oh one show was over this problem but done now still now to most of it taking it to the next step no problem. But by default in it there you were this instinctive driver am I feel listen which you be send if at least person didn't call the next step because in Kuala Beben Until now, me person me clarify sport and send the among a tea for a bit more be bedroom, so maybe you can't sound it is it's very, very most of them can very, very hard. So because
I just yeah.
Yes.
And
before me now by man point in so.
Yeah. And I said, okay, the man, yeah, the man be bandana, and your mammy will be a slow crime. And no, yeah, nurse and common a bit dinner or mobile basso. Now, at the same person, can be. Okay.
Now, I said, what was that? Now, we ma catch and be say, via finish it, I say, I can a hash. But me, feel saying a hash because so kind of clear. So, kind of clear, say, never affecting no feel say a hash. So, I just here. But maybe I say, me, I dare, once a winner, and I have been here for two bananas if you do a one guys. Now, quite doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And anything I mean, I can also be a bet. Yeah, can't reality say never say na amount for bet who near way team. Obviously, opinion now so wait here. Now, why bargaining two sides? No, where the bill be now. So
because education, I am, you know, said I can say, Obi or Obi feel is a okay man. Yes, I was to who say, man. Esan say obi wo awo ehia no na obi wo awo ehia no because free case of them ma me no adi nkomo omo ya abrofo me no nyina ase awo de nya de so mbewo ti ba akokra do say awale okra do nware mpo ne bi a koye so bewo enti said ye America na so obi a na yi but obi o ye ga so bewo ne de e wo say e important to you say mumie no mo be health aspect na we say mo betimi awo na first mo wa mo nye some of ba wo sekra ana say bibisa ni nyina na think say hia
sorry on say me ba kasa me bi say efiefo na half mo say cultures ni different me start here mo say me comment because mo say anum no obi o betimi atena so on ba no uni na say yeah efie so de ba wo so e obligate so at yes ntina na me okay
all right general ye ntino ya hwe ha se na be ya obi ofie no ka obenya no de afim obi so ha obenya no de afim enti ye ntie Jeff
okay I think and I can you might be some of the points I may make here and say media measure me share ebu because me bema no me de ebu e fata on bema wo opa no nti me expect say won so de ebu bema me media me no go area kwa ni say ye wonyama bu a me nya nchia for instance now I do respect my girlfriends and my dates in such a way that when I feel like I'm gonna go to the extent of say wash me underling in cry I am me no me pay if you person but me pay because me feel say me private part probably but so if me be man no I'm able to show you that kind of respect say we your back na say wo oba no on show me respect na say any asanka krabia utumi di umami atem utumi football utumi ya we na ono to no no go area. Now, my second point me back on say whether oba and answer bema ukowari obi a impact ye. For instance, there are so many stories I say owari ni wie no I feel the bema no sex drive ewo form bema no ntumi ennenda e bon so say oba no onne da ba kopa I feel the on kan hu bio. Okay, so you as an individual, no, as a male or as a female, no, when say this is what you want. And when I say, Mama, you fight more bro and worry about, and I say, one for worry bema. What I say, into when no, if those are the things in him I will pay, because over to me, I hide it, and it's on what could pay so like our any ever, they also won't pay. Okay. So, for instance, probably it can range to say the others like I say a war. What I say, into say I want him ban man discuss and I say one you know a you on better then I feel now about back say oh this are that news you say I feel the Bema Kofa or Buffalo for and now what I say into so there are some little things we ignore them because initial stage of dating and I say in the courtship we think that it's all about say odon pakon love near there but think about in terms of social, in terms of mental, in terms of sexual, are those requirements that you want, are they in the lady that you open next time? I say, can you compromise for it? What I say? So you have to know the person in and out. What I say? You have to know because I bet you say, oh, your banner, only your banner, it's not, didn't say only your banner, like only your banner big jaya, almost say, Suban. The first time we be us adan okwa no one human na say kwa awari obisa one shana and I say only about ni be ma be wa no e oka say oh me kun we de ontumi ni me nda kwa for them person be jai. So all those things no you have to know and you have to know what you are going for so that at the end no it can help you. So you are aware of it and how you could resolve it someone can was and all those things, you have to know that the person you are marrying is a kind of someone that is your best friend, you can communicate with, you are easily free with, and a military kind of relationship. Okay. So those are the things that little things I will add to what we discussed yesterday.
Now, yeah, Casa or best friend, you know, or baby, on your downfall. Na wabishia no ana wakushia ne baby a na ware na enti after marriage no anase o me your friend abra na twem pra ne mu no e wasa musa nante as friends abra mo date no anase obi a you are down for school anase say ya mo ka say marry your best friend na no wo be kire musa
okay mami for me
because Obi has to marry your best friend. Now, best friend, two man okay, young team.
For me, it will never happen to me. Say, me about 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Now, me kware no.
Okay.
Because me feel say ube ni person ebeche. The enfa 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Only abanet 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Only ne ekoda ka krabia wo se kware no. Afi do for back. Uma make kwa wuntie. That be. You can say obi enye wo best friend. That means only pakun at na you know the person in and out. Only the high points, and only the low points. What I say? So best friend is about the word just best friend. Because of your best friend, you can close your eyes and you can tell the person's favorite color, the person's favorite food, the person's instant reactions. What I say? So and these things takes time. The it's kind of peer pressure. For instance, down for a wedding come on. Pressure on so TikTok. And I say we shall be as far as our better time probably what in terms of health, what said can in terms of fertility from the man's side, from the woman's side, all those things now won't share it. And so friendship is not about 1 month, 2 months. Only about and check. What I say, hopefully say age for instance, hopefully say, oh, I'm in the 30 years, 31, 32. Into share, or say I can't sacrifice another 4 months, 5 months. I'm telling you that it's better for you to sacrifice at least that few months to know more than to go into the marriage early and find yourself in a prison. What I say? Because minimum wanka I am kosafuna eka. And this 1 year study now at the end. Wow.
Yeah. Now you might person on children kakra na.
Yeah. Not person we can keep friendship now or not Jeffrey can. You know, say cause friendship I say what is here now to make us be madam for penny like we shall know for you name out to make us be madam for penny.
Mhm.
When him say on chill out to me for sour down like bibia so be a down for pan. Oh yeah, dear man crown na like on drink so
Okay.
it's in a say a friend it's not like there are two contexts be mo into na me sana me hunu say ka say so what me ya down for it's not like say as a wokoshia and just but in the actual meaning of friendship to say what you can do for a friend, what you can sacrifice for a friend. Never be ha one wa down for bit me so bit me can crash wa down for bit me wa down for or only very very good friends and say or ye bibi pa na e boni out me catch them. So ade we are it's not good, you should do it this way. So that is how I see it. Into your say obi officer worry no one year wa down for then it's in that context said only no and what's that and for fun. That's it should be our one down for bit me. You should have that. And I said Jeffrey Akano. I don't think say would bit me the some few months and I say some way be who send it back on. It takes time. So it's in with time, no one say all these things. What down for a friend or best friend. I don't think say you only met say a friend no some few way. So
true.
Like I said, so partner your best friend. It's in the context of say and now for Nema obetimi aye with or down for now things that are related to best friends. Bibisa. And it's in that context.
All right, because I was here chilling ye. Na just say be a school now or you are down for school, na just say or no was out. Name yeah can ye nipa o worry na yesterday and now 4 year day. Ain't no. And I also know a better guitar and son away day, what when ye. Enti se wushia obi na ne age ti a e wo set time ye dey ebam kakra na mu di study mo ho se de na ye ka no obi ne obi na je Africa se tie no oni nipa na tena etena ya be that's 35 years se say enti 35 years no nipa nko ekoye oba no ho ade ne ye 40 years na je say oni na tena ebe 21 years. Eti no saa time ni nyinaa no ɛwɔ sɛ ɔde hu ɔbaa no ɛno na ɔmo sɛ afi ɔbaa ne baa ya ɔbaa ne mo yɛ nti 20 years na na ɔne ne ɛtena ɔnware na ɔnwo yɛ no sɛnɛ no ɔmo sɛ bi a ɔnwo nti wo paa wo a ne hɔ na ano atwa so na nyɛ ɔne ne kowura mu wɔ awadeɛ mu na afi wasan abigyaa no nti no ɛyɛ adeɛ a wɔsɛ ehu ne sɛ ansa na bɛhu nipa ne sɛ ɔne na atena yɛ dɛ akyɛ eti yɛti adesen so view.
Story now, man, we know it now 30 something years.
Deɛ na Jeffrey kasa yɛtie na ano sɛ awo asɛm na na awo ka no ɛna ma obi ne ne yere ɔmo gu aware ɛbaa ɔmo program na ɔmo yɛyɛ no so no na ɔne ne yere no ɔmo atena for 35 years enti according to maame no bɛrima no yɛ ne ho adeɛ so
35 including courtship ana
any award no nyinaa yɛ 35 years. Nti any courtship once a Ghana deɛ yɛ maame ne yɛ papa mu timi tena na ɔmo awo na ɔmo nyɛ ɔmo ho adeɛ no ɛyɛ bia.
Yeah.
Nti ɔmo tena for about 21 years nti asa na wɔkɔyɛ ɔbaa ne ho adeɛ. Ɛna afei no wakɔ ɛne obi foforɔ akɔwo mmiɛnsa ɛwɔ nkyɛn. Adan a ɔbaa ne ho. So adan a ɔbaa ne ho. Nti sɛdeɛ yɛ ka no nti 21 years na ne tena ya ɔnwo yɛ no sɛ no wɔn sɛ no wɔnwo. Nti hɔ no na wɔsɛ otwa so ba wasan afɔ wale no asan na tena another 40 years ama na bɛyɛ 35 years. So what you say?
In 70 be no. Because one say mistake ni fini pa ba ko. Anka sa adu anka met me twa so in the early stages. So what you say? Anka be criticize problem we say. And I make me am be say in the before I ever say be entire was say test it. Yeah. You I remember test we at the baba na fa baba. And see me stay away no. You am say o mark kan ni na nti. Me need bibi a make go so awale there before we get into no say we take his safety precautions because a very long way. So
it was that any money who said what consider BBR because yesterday who know and plan and dating and never who and one I was saying who not more worry and was saying who and ebi na suban no bi no beda na di ature bia na odi bi sie ba mo ware a eno na afi ebe yi ne ho but we hu most of the things no abra ye date no enti Jeffrey can say na me say ye fa hu mobro we don't marry somebody based on sympathy enti say bia entem na wo gana say emwa na je say ye dey we twa so dance obekwa akọ ware no wajai no eno no I think say ujai a because me tie mind you know oka say it's better to separate a minute to wedding than to wait and get divorced after the wedding. And let's just say, I can't minute go animal while and there if say I do, honor to say no. The do can do and just say and only the best to say can yes now if you move here and 10 days time not here that go our real. And yes, and near ma I was say share. Yeah, you say I was our person obano or you're respectful. And now Bema no you're respectful. And no in your baba come good point said. I was our person Bema now call warren obuni mama or respecting the parents. And it's a Bema no respecting the parents that to say obano or better day or better respecting also parents. And the son say obano respecting the parents, I will Bema no so or better respecting all Bema no say day. Parents and your near kakra krabia I was said day yɛde ani to wɔ ne yɛhwɛ ansana wode ho akɔwura mu nti adesua ne yɛsua enti no saa mmere no yɛde nkɔmmɔ bebree nti mɛba yi ma hɔ abɛgye ne last words efura no maba Jeffrey wɔ na afei maba Addison wɔ na yɛde ɛnɛ deɛ no so aba awie nti yi ma mmeɛntie wɔ last words.
Okay, nana me da ase nti sɛ ne ɔkan sɛ nneɛma wei nyinaa ne nneɛma maybe be a yɛn bɔ so ɛyɛ nneɛma ɛyɛ very very important ɛsɛ yɛhwɛ ansa na yɛakɔ awareɛ mu na sɛnea yɛka no yes yɛbobɔ bi so ebi wɔ kora yɛn bɔ so ase but nti mimi hu ne sɛ one year who saa nneɛma wei nyinaa or you might not be able to cover all these things nti no then at least a bit me ama wɔyɛ sɛnea in a bema this in kind then a betcha say what take safety precautions and at least we remove then a bit me a bit me they are taking bold decisions even though say okay one here I do we na meaning to say about the remove say this is how I think it is. I think say ni na ejina ya dream if you are mature now say o cycle hon now sign I don't want to the state of every possible scenario say bit me about our remove because nothing is promised because any in I dream here to obi okra bit me pretend they say I want to say in fear pity paper crowd no pretend the crowd bit me pretend just because of us all the kawashen and so internet ukoko remu you know say net yeah then I'll bit me and then it's all about why doing so what cycle when himself okay our real no me come I'm matured enough to know say say this is the action I'm taking me sana me because so we need to drain one cycle, one mentally, one found one to start state no more. In then you won't consider it before, but will be consider after. Which is even the worst. Because one way you company there will be before your natural death. And I said you will end up doing things that you don't even want to do in a marriage. You know, I didn't say what could remove you crown poor. That's the sign of my king and why what could remove mentally. The king and the even say the better to your cottagem, you could do say them so okay. What can we say no mentally you try and find possible solutions. Say the worst case scenario they say so jai no no jai. But not everyone is matured enough to think that way. Ebrimujin say okay, the morality ne something and then they fail to make a bold decision. And no, a chat one said, yes, why I can be, but ukuremu because you can't have everything checked before you go into it. But ukuremu now say, what do you have to do? That is where our maturity comes into play. Into no, who you swear no, and then you try and find solutions to your current situation. All
right. Like I said, the best thing is that the force of the power, was maturity, no. grew, you say, oh, you're mature enough into marriage. Send a problem we arise here, wait me a solve. All right, yeah, that's it. Jeffrey, into your last words.
Okay, my last words, me the 2 points. So,
okay.
Now, in maybe I'm talking something way, but very true. Yes, Oba wa told them, any bema always ka. A morning of who told for monte.
I want to, okay.
Now, at that stage, who told me for monte, about to do turn of fire, bed in soberty. Bema who is cannot turn of fire, it is soberty. Now, so if you get to that stage and you are in the process of sober worry, I feel like, my personal opinion, I feel like the obeti, whether from your father's side, whether from your friends, whether from anywhere, I obeti, a negative about your partner. Or the way don't go and only or balance a bema gidi. Probably it's not true. But I said in every rumor, there is a truth.
There's a truth.
From steady, now search it. What I say, so that you be informed, because ukoju one and yes and here, I bet you remember those things. Then at the end, no, obviously, all those kind. Now, so too, every day me catch him sister say me pen what I say means me see a dime a place wo I say oko usho bina sempakono ono dim kwasem or bro or yes here better unya be my fee. Because why am I making that point? I'm making that point because champ na be man ball. Now that want to implant him. It makes sense. Be man when a champ no or the ball. Also, what they at the end, so our obekum, yeah. So I guess, and it mostly happens in the situation whereby people feel like they are so much indebted to someone, and I say, I want me free. Are they being? Are they way back up? Me say 10 times and come some back. And they say, what's the relationship? And I say, red flags. Red flags. You have a conscience. They come in so many forms. And you know, conscience and obekasa. Oba bema oba umbuade. Those things, no, don't wait till you die. Don't wait till also natural more obejai. Onjai. That's it. Bema ni pema or pema dey the ma be fie. O champ na what channel. So now say over obejai. Onjai.
All right.
So all those things, we have to pay attention to it so that it will help all of us.
Let us into quickly my entire destiny now. Yeah, February. Also, my last words.
Okay. Me before I may take any steps, maybe I know about into that marriage with, and I just say, Miami investigation that. What I say, and Sana, maybe be able to. But without that, if we say me take a step forward. So aside that, on there at times the problem I want to say about do or on yin suban and now bear maybe mean kind of one side they kind of we are saying amount nipa bi wo subi amudisie so this one in the court na say situation ni arise here and sana sign before I make the steps not just say we will be at least not less than 1.5 years. So I say not just a type of person who answer na no got problem there. Me person got problem more. I feel na measure where I may feel.
Okay.
Yeah. And now can say so for because say before I can say yes no. That very day no can say no. Better.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. Now bebre na yesua ese answer na be choose life partner no e was also will be a usuro nyame God fearing. Ohun ohwe will be a obu ade respectful. Obi o ye hard working. And now I was say health side. ehu sɛ nipa no apɔmuden fam no awo anaasɛ mowo nkwadaa na ɛmfa problem bia ɛmmerɛ mo ɛna afei so the most important thing is that we say your best friend na ansa na ɔbɛyɛ your best friend no ɛyɛ sɛ ɔde no atena akyɛ nti no 3 months 6 months yɛ na yɛde aware no ɛmmoa awareɛ no nti yɛn study ɛho nkyɛ na yɛnyɛ friends na ɛbɛyɛ bitumi adi nkɔmmɔ na yɛtumi aresolve any conflict bi a ɛbɛba mu no na yɛhia saa maturity no mind no ansa na yɛtumi de aresolve conflict medam ase bebree ma bɛgyafoɔ sɛ moaka me ho na yɛadekati yɛtiefoɔ ne yɛahwɛfoɔ na ɛnkyɛ yɛde chancellor so bɛba na ɔno so aba abɛtu yɛfoɔ ɛsiane sɛ ama yɛ nneɛma bebree a ɛbɛtumi aboa sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ aberɛ a yɛprepare sɛ yɛbɛware yi yɛbɛhu nneɛma a ɛhia ɛne nneɛma a ɛwɔ sɛ yɛstudy no wɔ yɛ partner ho na afei so awareɛ mu no yɛtumi enjoy awareɛ no yi yɛtumi da mo ase ɛsɛ mogye berɛ na yɛdi dwumadie
But I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is